We know, you saw the title and you were thinking, what the heck? These tree huggers have actually lost their minds.
That is up for debate, still.
Definitely a debate.
Now, you may question our mental capacity, but the numbers do not lie. Full-time RVing is less great for the environment than we previously thought. But there is good news, that it's still generally better than living in suburbia, and today we're going to share with you some tips and tricks in order to help you save the world.
That may be exaggerated.
Nope. These tips alone are the difference between the honeybees living and dying. It's called extinction.
Yeah?
It's permanent.
Really? Well, we better tell them everything.
It's time to save the world.
Save the world.
What is up, you guys? It is Lauren and Sam. We are the trailer couple dedicated to that simple life. And it is another gorgeous day to live in the burrito.
So a few weeks ago, Lauren and I made a video on the new electric Airstream concept, which really got us thinking about our impact on the world as a whole, leading me to ask Lauren a pretty simple question, which was, does full-time RVing actually lessen our human footprint on the environment?
So we've been living full-time in the burrito for 2 years now, and up until this point, we just assumed that what we were doing was really good for the environment, right? Less stuff, less waste, we regularly camp in nature. I mean, how could we possibly be damaging it?
But recently we put a little bit more effort into thinking about our environmental impact. We reflected and started to come down a little bit from that high horse, which was really valuable because it helped us recognize some of our shortcomings and helped us come up with some solutions that can help us have a better impact on the environment moving forward.
Unfortunately, many things that we do as humans actually hurt the environment.
A carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases released by our day-to-day actions. And these can be really damaging to our planet. According to the Nature Conservancy, the average American's carbon footprint is 16 tons per year, and the global average is only 4. Now, I don't know what an invisible 16 tons of carbon looks like, but it sounds bad and NASA would agree. Atmospheric carbon has never been above this line, and now it's here. Apparently, in order to limit the effect this has on our environment, we will need to get this down to an average of 2 tons per person per year as quickly as possible.
So Sam and I wanted to see how we were doing, and we wanted to compare the carbon footprint of our tree-loving, trailer-living lifestyle to that of someone who lives in a normal 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house.
The old sticks and bricks.
So there are several online calculators that can help you do this, and they give you a pretty rough estimate of what your carbon footprint is based on your personal lifestyle. And after we did this, we were actually pretty surprised with what we found.
Long story short, there was less than a 3-ton carbon footprint difference between our current mobile lifestyle and someone living in a 2-bedroom house. And we were still well above our target carbon footprint. So in the famous words of Michael Jordan, I took that personally.
Dang it! So we thought we were doing much better than we actually are. 7 tons, that's as much as an elephant weighs. It's a lot.
So yes, we are making a difference, but the difference is mildly underwhelming. So I need an explanation for this.
So let's talk about our electricity use first. Now, when we're boondocking, it's not really a problem because we were able to use our solar setup. But when we are stationary, we're hooked up to shore power and get our electricity from our hookups.
Yeah, so on our home base, we've been tracking our electricity usage, and usually it's about 60% of what the average electrical usage is for houses in our area. So even the best insulated trailers aren't incredibly easy to keep warm in the wintertime and cool in the summertime. So when you're hooked up to shore power, a lot of that isn't coming from the cleanest of energy sources, so that can be kind of a drain on the environment. Despite our best efforts to recycle and to not accumulate stuff and to be water friendly, we still drive a truck that averages 17 miles per the gallon, and it probably gets half of that when towing. Definitely not something that we're proud of.
But it's important to note that everyone's environmental footprint looks a little bit different based off of your rig, your travel schedule, what vehicles you use to tow, even your diet. I mean, the list honestly goes on and on.
So there are some extremely environmentally friendly mobile living situations like the van lifer crew.
Yeah, if you are a van lifer, please comment below and introduce yourself so that we can give you a virtual hug, and also tell us the last time that you took a shower.
So how do we go about making a minimalistic lifestyle that seems relatively environmentally friendly, even more environmentally friendly? How do we get our carbon footprint down to our goal of 2 tons per year while also conserving a lot of resources along the way?
So it gets hot here in South Carolina in the summer. And one solution that we have found to help with keeping the cold in and keeping the hot out is using car visors that we have actually cut to fit all of the windows in the trailer. And again, this helps with insulation. Now, it's not great, but it's a lot better than insulation that a lot of RVs and trailers actually come with.
It really does an awesome job just reflecting light out. And you can also buy big rolls of that like reflecting tape at Lowe's and Home Depot and things like that. Someone actually commented on our video that we posted on it, giving us that useful suggestion. So it may just be a little bit less cumbersome than using car visors like we did. But they both work.
But it was a fun project, nonetheless.
Secondly, it's really important to find adequate shade in the summer months. This is one thing that we have struggled with because not all RV parks offer a lot of adequate shade. We were at this one park last summer for 4 months that had 0 shade coverage, and our air conditioner was running the entire time. So obviously not great for the environment. Find adequate shade. We have a big oak on our home base. You can kind of see it behind us here. This does provide shade for almost half the day for our trailer, which really limits our electricity bill. We are also installing a sunshade that is going to cover our RV on our home base just to help us keep our trailer cool in the summer months.
Yes, and we are starting that project today, which I'm very excited about. So stay tuned. We'll keep you all posted on how it goes.
Also, if you live in a colder climate through the winter time, it's pretty important to get one of those RV insulation skirts, especially if you are stationary in the same location throughout the winter. That does just keep a lot of heat in. We had never used it because we're usually in pretty warm climates through the winter, but we know a lot of people who previously have and have talked very highly of them.
Like most RVers, we are very conservative with our water usage when we are out boondocking because you only have so many gallons of water that your holding tank can hold. But when we are on our home base, I would say we take a little bit more Hollywood style showers because we are hooked up directly to our septic tank. So this is something we are working on in regards to water usage because it is certainly something we can cut down on.
So recently we've been trying to do a lot better job on being more intentional about our trip planning. We used to think that when we went on these trips we had to be staying in different campgrounds every couple of nights, just kind of experience new places, but we found that it's a lot less stressful, a lot more enjoyable, and a lot less of a burden on the environment if we actually stay in places for a week or so and just kick back and relax. And then we can use other modes of transportation that may be a little bit more environmentally friendly to explore the area as opposed to constantly towing this 8,000-pound burrito around. Another thing that we've been looking into heavily is getting bikes. We don't currently own any just because we try to limit our stuff. We're a little bit minimalistic with that. That definitely is going to be one of our next purchases.
Yeah, definitely something we're looking into. We do, I will add, we do have rollerblades right now. Sam kind of looks like a baby giraffe when he has them on. Maybe that just means we need to use them. But he did take a pretty good spill when we were out in California.
If you stick around to the end, this isn't extremely relevant to the environmental friendly component, but I will share my story of me wiping out on rollerblades.
Gashed open his hand. Sam and I actually just had this conversation last night about even small ways we can have even more of a positive impact on the environment, and one of those is just being good about using my car, which gets better gas mileage than Sam's truck, for small bouts of commuting when we're together. So just be mindful about your modes of transportation. There's so much we can do in regards to hopping on a bike, walking, scooters, rollerblading, to have just a small impact on the environment. So a few other things you can do to have a positive impact on the environment. Dry your clothes outside if you have a clothesline, or install a clothesline so you can dry your clothes outside.
Yeah, and you can also buy local goods and produce. I know it costs a little bit more, but the environmental impact of transporting, goods and produce from long distances away isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, so now that we actually have a home base, we have a garden, which I'm also excited to share with you guys. But hopefully that's gonna minimize, as Sam said, kind of the carbon emissions that are placed on the environment with transporting food to different areas. Going to a local farmer's market on a Saturday or a Sunday morning is a really good way to shop local but also have a small positive impact on the environment. I really love farmer's markets. I probably spend way too much money there, but I also end up buying a fresh bouquet of flowers every time I go because they're so pretty, and Sam hates it.
It's okay. Another thing you can do is just make sure you reduce your food waste, and you can start composting. That's one thing that we started recently.
We also have Fenton, who serves as a great second compost bin, so that definitely helps. bring your own bag to the grocery store when you go shopping. Get compostable K-cups for your morning coffee. Use your water from your dehumidifier to water the plants around your trailer and outside.
That's a big one because we get a lot of water in ours here in South Carolina.
So we certainly aren't saying that you have to change everything about your lifestyle when living in an RV or trailer. What we are saying is pick one thing, start with that one thing to make even a small difference in regards to your environmental impact, and then go from there.
So the smallest changes can affect the biggest results. And I mean, this has been proven time and time again. People who have these massive New Year's resolutions oftentimes don't stick with them, but the ones that have these little small ones, they stick with them, and then in the end they have the biggest changes because it was attainable. So if you guys have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments below. Lauren and I are always very open to feedback. We love engaging with you guys. You leave us the best comments and we enjoy reading them and responding. Lauren and I are just really focusing on the year of 2022, leaving the world a little bit better of a place, because we honestly, after reflecting a little bit on some of our environmental habits, we thought that there was a lot of room for improvement. So we got a story for you. I promised you a story and I'm a man of my word. When I was 8 years old, I used to rollerblade. So when my wife got us rollerblades when I was 30, I just assumed that I'd be pretty decent. Turns out I was trash. I felt like a giraffe on roller skates, and I get going down this hill pretty quickly. There's a biker coming towards me in the bike lane, and there's a fence on my right. And I try to do the whole pizza thing. Apparently that works on skis, but not on rollerblades. So then I had a decision. Do I go through the biker or to go through the chain link fence? And obviously I chose the biker. I'm just joking. I chose the fence, and I grab onto it and I just kind of slide along the fence. And meanwhile, Lauren hears a commotion and she turns around and I see her turn around, so I'm like, I'm in for it now.
It's kind of like he was holding on and then his legs kept going.
Kept going, yeah.
Yeah, it was like that scene in the Titanic. Rose is like, Jack, just don't let go. That was Sam hanging on to the chain link fence.
I'm Leonardo DiCaprio is what I'm hearing.
No, you were Rose saying, don't let go. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but that was literally Sam just clinging onto this chain link fence for dear life. And Jack goes, I'll never let go. So maybe you were Jack.
I didn't let go.
I'm not sure, but either way, he was not letting go, and his legs were about 4 feet down the hill, while his arms were still hanging onto the chain link fence for dear life.
I did cut my hand.
Yeah, it was traumatic. He had to go to the ER and get 25 stitches.
That's not true at all.
That is not true, but that sounds way more exciting.
So Lauren took me into rollerblading today.
Yes, I did.
Yep, and I suffered a pretty bad wound.
So more of the story is that Lauren and I are not perfect when it comes to the environment and also with rollerblading, but we're trying.
We're trying, and that's all we ask of you.
That's all we ask.
So I guess that's it.
That is it.
So until next time, you all, happy trails.
Happy trails, you guys.